Hi guys, welcome. Today we are going to check out the last 4 products in the Garage Therapy line. So I have DMS, demineralization shampoo, and WSR, water spot remover. Now, water spots aren't a big problem for me. I use deionized water whenever I wash my car. I've got favorable weather, and generally I park my car in places where it's safe. Now, I will say that water spots are a problem for a lot of people, especially in my area, because we have really hard water from the city. So what I decided to do was to make some water spots happen so that I could test some of these water spot products. And I didn't want to do that on my car, so I did it on my test hood. So if we look down here, we can see really heavy water spotting, right? Tons of it. So what I did was I took this hood, I put it in my yard in the grass, and I turned the sprinklers on for 2 minutes, and then I let it dry. And as you can tell, we've got really nasty water spots, and a little bit of water will remove some of it, but we're still ending up with those etching rings around them that you can see. So I want to show you that, if you take something like deionized water on a rag and you wipe it, you will get some level of help, right? We're going to remove some of that salt, but we're still going to see the etching that is left behind. All of these circles. See the circles? They look like little amoebas. Washing the car obviously helps, but just in general, you're not going to get 100% cleanup by just washing the car when you've got spots like this. So really there's polishing and there's chemical processes that you can use to remove water spots. We're going to test out this demineralization shampoo. This is not the only type of mineral that this is supposed to remove, but it specifically says limescale removing properties, fantastic for cleaning and refreshing paint in hard water areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm just going to foam 1/2 of the hood. We're going to rinse it off. We're going to see how it ends up coming out. And then we're going to try the water spot remover as a standalone product. And we'll just kind of play around here and see how these products work. 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 inside your cannon. So that'd be the equivalent of like a 1 to 120. So I've got a pretty similar tip to that in here. Let's try it out. I'm just going to spray that side. The instructions on this say, for use as a snow foam, mix thoroughly in the foam lance bottle, spray under the car at a high foaming setting. Do not allow the product to dry. In some scenarios, it can be beneficial to foam on a dry car. So we're going to let this sit for a minute. We're not going to allow it to dry. Maybe give it a little bit of agitation over here so we can get an idea of how it works with agitation versus without. And then we'll rinse the car off. Let that top part dwell just a little bit longer. Take our rag, this just has water on it, and we'll dry this off. A water spot is really a bit of mineral that's stored in the pores of the paint. So paint is porous, there are valleys and peaks, and it's a porous product, right? So what ends up happening is you've got something that's like it's water on it, and the water contains some sort of minerals, limescale, salt, something from the air, something hard maybe from chemical treatment processes, and that sits on the paint, and then it gets hot in the sun, and the sun opens up the pores of the paint, and then what ends up happening is the water evaporates, but it leaves that little bit of salt behind, or whatever the mineral is, and then the pores cool, and that salt is kind of inside and trapped in that paint. Take a look at this. It actually did a fairly good job. It's way better than this side, if we just look at that, of simply taking care of a lot of the spots just from a quick spray. This has dwelled a little bit longer. Let's spray this part off. And we'll just rinse the whole panel with the eye water, just to be fair. So up here we had a much longer dwell time. Here we had a much shorter dwell time. The side we just rinsed, we've got maybe, I don't know, 50% cleanup, 40% cleanup, something along those lines. Very clear defined circles, lighter, and the circles aren't really like filled in with minerals anymore. They're just the circles, right? Over here, I would say we're close to maybe 75% cleanup on this top part, especially where we let it dwell longer. Down here in the part where we didn't let it dwell as long, we're closer, probably 60 to 70%, right? So really, you know, we've got an 8 out of 10, we've got a 7 out of 10, and we've got a 4 out of 10 over there, right? 5 out of 10, something along those lines. So let's try our water spot remover. All right. So the hood's spun a little bit. So this is the section that we soaped, right? So we soaped, this had the long dwell, this had the short dwell, long dwell, short dwell. So this is our best one so far in terms of the cleanup. We're going to take our demineralization shampoo. It says, shake well, do not use in direct sunlight on hot panels or components. Allow to dwell for 35 seconds to 1 minute maximum. This is the part that had the longest dwell time of the demineralization shampoo, and we're going to hit that. And then this is the part that had the shorter dwell time on the demineralization shampoo, so we'll hit that. Apply liberally, allow it to dwell. 35 seconds to 1 minute. All right, so we are at a minute. We're going to wipe this off. It's probably one of those chemicals where I should be wearing gloves in my video. And then we'll see how it does. So remember, long dwell, short dwell, both topped with water spot remover. And then looking at this, we see, man, like 95% cleanup. There's like a little one here, a couple here on the edge, which is probably more of a gravity problem, but the part where it could actually like rest on it, this valley here, looks really, really good. Down here, not quite as much. You know, we're maybe like 90% here, 95%, 99% here. Much, much better. Now it says you can go again until your water spots are gone. So let's try again, 1 more minute. And we can see kind of a huge difference between the two, right? Check out all the water spots over here versus over here. Okay, we're at another minute. So we'll wipe this off. And then we'll wipe this off. And just to make sure it's clean, we'll hit it with our drying towel. All right. So check it out. This is the DMS only. You can see all the spots, all these circles. And then this is with the water spot remover. Significantly better. Still have a little bit right here on the edge where it's having trouble dwelling because it's, you know, it's got an angle there. This, you know, here we've got probably 90% over in this area. This probably needs some more heat. So, you know, one of the problems that you run into when you're trying to chase water spots is that when the pores are cold, they close up and they capture that mineral inside them. So oftentimes to remove water spots, you have to recreate the conditions in which they occurred. So if a water spot occurred in the heat, when the sun came out and dried the water off of your hood, you might need to treat it in the sun. The problem is that a lot of these products don't want you to operate them in the sun, so you can run into some problems around that. So you just need to be very careful. In that case, I would probably use it on my rag. I would probably follow with water, make sure that you're rinsing it off. But yeah, I will say, like, we got really, really good cleanup here. So another option that we can have is we can polish. So for this section here, maybe that doesn't have anything on it, I could pull the polisher out and we could go over it with that. So let me grab that really quick. Nothing crazy here. This is DIY Detail Gold Standard Polish. Now, what the polisher can do is artificially create heat from the movement of the polisher on the panel. And that heat can help to open up those pores and allow the polish to get in there and remove some of the water spots. Realize I'm moving kind of fast on video here, but you'll get the points once I'm done. A little extra pressure. Try to build up a little bit extra heat. Dwelling in one spot can help you to build up extra heat too. Just be careful you don't burn your paint. So let's try that. And there we go. So another way that you can remove, like I said, we've got mechanical and chemical, right? Chemical removed a ton, mechanical removed the rest. Now we've got something that's really nice and cleaned up. Here we have panel wipe. This is Garage Therapy panel wipe. I haven't used this yet. We'll test it out. Shake well, appropriate safety equipment, do not use on hot panels, not work in direct sunlight, well ventilated area. It smells good. Wow, that smells real good, actually. Nice and squeaky clean. I like this. Panel wipe can be used to clean and unclog high quality ceramic coatings. Perfect tool for prepping paint before sealant wax application. Excellent general purpose cleaner for general preparation such as glass and metal surfaces. So, nice. All right. Well, cool. So we've successfully removed our water spots. You want to see a nice before and after. Check out this side of the panel where all we did was rinse, and this side of the panel where we've, done our chemical decontamination and chemical plus mechanical decontamination, and you can see the difference between those two sections. So soap only, that's DMS. This is soap plus water spot remover back here, so soap only. You can still see spots. Soap plus water spot remover, see significantly less spots, but there are still some there. Soap plus water spot remover plus a quick polish, and you can see that we're at, 99% cleanup. Obviously the paint on this test hood is hammered. It's from a junkyard Hyundai, but it kind of is what it is. Now, panel prep, I really actually like that. It smells great. All right, so now maybe we want to talk about preventative maintenance. How do we keep these water spots from occurring? Well, the best way is to not park your car in a place where it's going to get water all over it, but another way would be to have a coating that has some sort of chemical resistance. So a ceramic coating would be ideal. After a ceramic coating, something like a ceramic sealant or some sort of applied sealant. Here I have a Garage Therapy product called CS, which is their ceramic sealant. It says, highly sophisticated formulation of SiO2 raw materials provide a hydrophobic, glossy, and super slick protective coating to your car's paint. Standalone, sealant, or as a topper. Protects from the elements, slick finish. Protective performance can last up to 5 months, easy to use, hydrophobic nature, reducing the potential of watermarks and increasing self-cleaning characteristics. So, the way that you use this is one panel at a time, spray 1 to 2 sprays on the panel, spread with an applicator, allow 30 to 60 seconds for the product to bond. For colder climates, allow a little longer. With a low pile premium microfiber towel, lightly wipe and level the product. So this is kind of, it's reading like it's almost a ceramic coating style product. So put a little bit too much on there, but I've got a brand new applicator that's going to soak some of it up. So let's hit this section here, and then we'll be able to compare the two next to each other. I do have a little bit of overspray here. Let's just kind of immediately dry that off. So this tells you it wants a 30 to 60 second flash time. You can see we've got some haze, and you could spray it on here instead of on your panel if you want, instead of being an idiot like me. Make sure we've got a nice solid coverage. Let that sit for 60 seconds and then we'll buff it off. And really what you're looking for is for it to flash. You see this haziness that we kind of have is pretty consistent. You want that to be the whole panel. buff this off. Looks like if we wait too long, it might be a little hard to remove, but honestly, that came right off. Let's try something here. We're gonna purposefully let this sit too long, and we'll see what happens, if we can remove it or not. Make a high spot. So the slickness is excellent. Very slick, feels like a coating. You know, here I've got this squeakiness that you can hear. Here I can't make it squeak. It's just nice and slick. Feels great. We'll let this dry for a couple minutes and then see if we can remove that high spot or if we end up having to polish it off. Sometimes you can reactivate these type of products by spraying a little bit more on them. Okay, so it's still buffing off pretty easily. I've got some streaks here, not too bad. Let me just try. Yeah, this is pretty easy to reactivate, it looks like. Put a little bit more on your pad and it's going to take it right off. So seems like a fairly safe product to use. That excellent slickness feels the same as this. This down here squeaks, this does not. It does say that you can apply 2 coats, a minimum of an hour or 2 apart, and then you want 24 hours to fully cure before getting wet. Avoid applying in direct sunlight or on hot panels. Best applied in temperatures above 6 degrees Celsius. All right, so today we tested the last 4 of the Garage Therapy products. Started off with a hood that was heavily water spotted. We foamed it with DMS, or demineralization shampoo. We ran this at the dilution that's on the bottle of, we're gonna have about a 1% panel impact ratio. They're telling you 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 in your Canon. So if we say 1 to 7.5, you put that in an MJJC, you're gonna get a panel impact ratio of about 1%, 1 to 100 on your panel. So what we saw was this immediately attacked the water spots and did a great job of removing a lot of the heaviness. You know, I'm actually pretty confident that if you use this for regularly for a period of time, you could probably remove a vast majority of the water spots and just continuously get more and more and more improvement as time went on, especially if you were washing the car in the sun and, you know, kind of doing it quickly. After that, we used the water spot remover. This worked incredibly well. This is not the first time that I've tested this product, it's just the first time I use it on the channel. I actually had a bunch of water spots all over my stainless steel fridge from the water, like the cup filling station thing. And I sprayed it, I let it sit for 30 seconds, wiped it off, and it removed almost all of them. So it really does an excellent job. It's a great product. It's a little thin, so the dwelling is tough on corners and angles, like things that are going to have gravity working against you. Some of the others are a little bit thicker, like I think it's Energo is the Labocosmetica product. It's a little thicker. I kind of like that for vertical surfaces because it's got that thickness. You can dilute that as well, but this worked really well. It is ready to use. It doesn't tell you to dilute it in any way, but you saw the job that it did. It was pretty impressive. Following that, we did a quick polish. I used the DIY Detail Gold Standard polish and a yellow Rupes pad on my 3-inch polisher. That did a great job, and following that, I went over it with the panel wipe. So their panel wipe product, you know, the purpose of this is to kind of remove the polish and polish residue and leave the surface clean and ready to accept a coating. This worked very, very well. I like the scent quite a bit. I was surprised by that. It's got a great scent. And then following that, we did the Garage Therapy coating, which left the panel super slick. It was very easy to apply, seems to be very forgiving in that if you create your own high spot, you can still like reactivate it and wipe it off. This feels borderline coating, kind of like a spray coating. So I'm thinking more like a phobic or an immortal and less like a, pan ceramic spray sealant or a CSS from Armor or, Infinity or one of those other types of products. Because they're having you apply it with an applicator and actually level it, it feels more like a coating that is quickly applied. Worked well, seemed to do a great job, good slickness. Like I said, again, easy to apply. Scent perspective, it doesn't really have one, but it doesn't smell bad. Like a lot of coatings actually kind of smell bad. They smell like resin. This doesn't. So this worked well, pretty happy with it overall. Yeah, and then, you know, just as is true with the rest of the Armor Detail Supply line, bottles are really good. They use spray plastic sprayers, which are from Italy. They work very well, nice and adjustable. I haven't really had any of these fail. They're the same ones that Armor and a bunch of other companies use as well. I like these sprayers quite a bit. The instructions are excellent. You know, they always tell you shake well. They tell you how to work it. They give you this for best results section. So like this one says for best results, decon wash the car using decon shampoo, then decontaminate with iron fallout remover. Then if possible, clay and lightly polish. Use a panel wipe IPA to remove surface oils. Apply 2 coats, minimum of an hour or 2 apart. Allow 24 hours to fully cure. Avoid applying in direct sunlight. So like they give you this section of like, if you follow this, this is like the recipe for the best situation. But then they also give you like normal directions. Work 1 panel at a time, spray to 1 to 2 on panel. Allow 30 to 60 seconds for the product to bond. For colder climates, allow a little longer. Lightly wipe and level. I will say, like, I have been really impressed with the Garage Therapy line. I think they're really good. I will be doing a wrap-up video that'll be separate from this, just talk about the whole line, my favorite products, which ones I liked. There's a lot here, and this would be a long video if I did that in this one. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you're having a great day.